All right, perfect. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in back to the Chaos Culture Radio. And
Yes,
this your boy.
sir.
You already know this
Yeah, you
Prince.
already know.
This Prince Hakeem.
This is Ronnie Ron, man.
And you know, I mean, we have a special guest today, and I say
Yeah, it is.
special guest.
Yeah, Hakeem, this one right here really another one touch home, brother.
It is
Another
another one touch home
man.
because they like family to my family, so we all family.
That's
So
right.
you know what I mean. So that means somebody talk shit, they will get a bullet in their ass. You know what I mean. You know what I mean. And that's all frank. So before we get into that, you know, the sponsors stopped paying us, so I got to come back.
Really?
They start, you know, I haven't said they start because I haven't promoted, so I got to promote it back again. So
yeah, let's go ahead. We got to get a shout out to them. You know how I go.
Shout out
At least
to
this
shoplikeaking.com. You know what I mean? Shoplikeaking.com. Coupon code is chaos. We can get your exercise needs. Shoplikeaking.com. Now, our special guest. Now, Ronnie, I want you to introduce him because
yes, I will.
You've always spoke highly of him. I've met him.
Yes.
Stand-up brother. His brother's a stand-up brother.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Which I would love to have a conversation with him because I don't you know, I think that as somebody at his age, his brother at a young age who was doing divinity was I thought was a very I thought was very inspirational because I've always wanted to do divinity.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I've always wanted to be in that type of stuff, but I was already corrupt. You know what I'm saying? You know,
you know you're a funny guy. Yeah, you're a funny guy, man.
We'll get into that, but Ronnie, I want you to introduce our marvelous brother.
Well, this brother right here, you know, I actually grew up with. I knew him for like a long time, like going on 20 years. You know what I'm saying? Since I was like a child. So for him to be on this show, it's just a great honor, you know, and I respect him a lot. You know, I look up to him. He's the reason why, you know, I want to create my own business, which I'm doing now. So to have him on the show is a great honor. So, you know, Hakeem, you know, I know you met him, but for the whole world, this is let me introduce you to Ray.
Hey, how's everyone? Yeah, it's me.
Hey,
I'm
Ray,
here.
how's it going?
Like I was saying right before we started recording that I'm extremely excited to be here today. Like, it's an honor. I watched the show. Anybody who's just tuning in who hasn't watched the show before, it's always just entertaining, great topics, and you know, I just feel blessed and lucky to be able to give my little 2 cents today, and hope you know that I can inspire somebody or just add what I can add to the show. But I just think it's incredible by itself.
Awesome. So Ray, I'm gonna start off because we're gonna ask you a couple of questions because as you know, some people don't know that you have your own business which you have created. Not only that, but you also impact the community. Can you tell them about your business and what you are doing in the community?
Okay, well, I just a little bit about myself. I grew up in, you know, Liberty City, Miami, just like everybody else. I, you know, graduated high school. I actually went to Miami Edison Senior High School. I went to Jackson as well, so a combination of both. And afterwards I went to college for education teaching. And so, long story short, I started working in a school that was dedicated to individuals with disabilities because my teaching degree is in special education. And, you know, throughout working in the classrooms, somewhere in the midst, I felt like teaching wasn't necessarily for me. And so, I was blessed enough to be able to open up my own school. So I'm still in the school environment, but, I own the school, I run the school, I create the curriculums, and, but I'm not necessarily a teacher. And so, I opened it up. I think it was in 2012, and we've been just growing. And since then, we've expanded to the Fort Myers area as well. And I also own group homes, and that's where our individual students, they live inside of the homes and they attend the school. So that's pretty much what I do. That's my business of what I do. Yeah. Short summary. Yeah.
No, that's remarkable. Damn, that I didn't even know all that.
Yeah.
So what type of curriculum that is implemented in your school?
Okay, so it's all special education, and so one thing that we specialize in is we customize our learning in the sense of we've all been to elementary school before. So,
Yep.
for example, have you ever been to, like, let's say it's a math class, and the teacher get on the board and they teach a general lesson, and you have some students that get straight A's, and you have the other ones that struggle, that's a little bit behind, and so they may get C's, and you have the other ones who can't keep up at all and they get F's. So what we decided to do is to do something a little bit more customized. So inside of our schools, the curriculum is customized. So let's say you come into my school, I give you an assessment. So everything you work on will be based around your individual skills. So no one's left behind. Everybody's working on their specific level and things that are relating to them. So that's that's what makes us a bit different than other schools. Yeah.
Let me ask you another question: is have you ever had any of your students, when you gave them assessment, like worked well enough to test out to go back into regular classes?
Well, you
Good
see,
question.
good question, and I should have explained this a little bit more.
Mm.
Our students are the students that are right about to leave school, who are in
Okay.
special education, and those who have already graduated school. So it's post-education. So the way I would describe it is, when you finish school, if you decide to further your education, you will go to a college. When someone who's in special education, who has like a developmental disability, they'll come to a school like ours. So we continue education, and then we also do work skills, employment training, a number of different things. So we have those students that will remain in our program, but then we also have the other ones that'll move on and get jobs, and we'll help with that process as well. So you might see some of our students in Publix or Walmart where they have a disability, but we send instructors out with them and make sure that they, can do the job. They learn the necessary skills. And that's the way our school operates.
Wow.
So, Ray, what made you start your own business? What made you go to that route instead of working?
Well, there's a lot. And I know we talked real briefly about divinity, and you had mentioned that that was something you would want to get
Yep.
into. So I also, anytime I'm in a position where I have to talk about what I do, I don't like to take 100% credit for anything, because I really believe ultimately and divinely that was God's purpose for my life. And so, in addition to that being my purpose, I also at the point that I was as a teacher, I enjoyed it, but it wasn't something that I was 100% fulfilled with. I never thought I would go into business, but at that time, especially at that age, I had to be like 21, 22. You're a bit fearless at that age. So I was like, I think I can run one of these. I think I could, create a program that's quality, that can really help the students. And thank God for that fearless nature. I just kind of jumped out and did it. It wasn't really even for financial gain. And I think a lot of times with young entrepreneurs, because thank God that my company has been so successful that, a lot of people come to me for mentoring and for advice on how to do things. And one of the main things that I always emphasize, it does not, do not let financial gain be your purpose. Because if that's it, you're not going to get anywhere. That's like,
good point.
I would say
That's
that's
a real
a
good point there.
necessity. If you could write that down, if you out there in Radio Land, wherever, get a pen and write that down, because that's important.
Facts.
I could say my first 5-6 years of operating, I made no money. I'm talking about zero.
Wow.
I'm talking about I had to teach at night to be able to invest back into my business in the morning. So financial gain had to be the last thing on my mind. So I became a part-time teacher just to be able to afford to run my school until it began to grow. So it wasn't about finance. It really was just about passion, just the students. It has to be a greater purpose. And from there, it began to expand. And so now, I'm reaping the benefits of all of those times, but it was definitely difficult at the beginning.
Definitely. It's astounding to me that you said that, because
It is. You see that,
it is.
We
It is
talked
very.
about that too.
Yeah, we did.
But
Now, the thing that I want to know is that out of all the subjects that you pick, because there's a realm of things you could have done, as far as starting that. But out of all, you picked the one that with people who most need the help.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So what led you into that? Because I want to give a tidbit which a lot of people might not know. Me starting school, when I started
Okay.
at Comstock Elementary, I was late. I was in special ed.
Wow. Very,
Oh, I didn't
very
know that. I
interesting.
didn't know that
No.
about
Yeah,
you.
yeah. I was in special ed all the way through high school. And
Oh, wow.
all the way through high school, they had labeled me with a learning disability
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. So it was but at those times, I think that teaching methods was a little bit obscure because they was packing 30
Yes.
people 30 people
Mm-hmm.
per class, and everybody was learning a bit differently.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely, absolutely. And throughout time, it's so interesting that you would mention that because
mm,
when I look back, and I think right now it's a bit more well known that
yep.
a lot of people that was categorized as special ed and learning disabled, that was really not the case. And that's when I was talking about customizing education.
Oh, really?
Yep.
So
Yep.
Oh,
you
really?
might have been okay, you might have struggled in an area. And
Uh-huh.
it was just probably the way the teacher was explaining things or the way
100%.
the methods that the teacher used. And so a lot of times they would say,
Oh,
oh, you can't keep up with this? Okay, you're special education. And that's not always the case. And back to
wow.
your original question of what made me start working at, choosing this field, it has a lot to do with what you just said. A lot of
Mm,
times our population is very ignored and
yep.
categorized and just you're put in a department or a compartment and you're said and they're told that this is just you. This is all you're going to be able to do. And for me, it's about just going beyond that and surpassing and beating the odds. And for me, every time I have a student that goes on and becomes successful, I'm just like, that's it for me. That's my purpose. And I always tell people that this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. Like there's nothing else I would rather be doing right now.
Wow.
Now,
No, because when you mentioned the fact of special ed, because I remember going through that too, having a difficult time in school. But I realized the most people that have difficult time in school are the most people that end up being successful. Have you noticed
Yeah.
that?
Yeah,
Because that
absolutely.
it doesn't limit them, but society do limit them. But then when they
Yeah.
get outside of school and they meet someone like you
Absolutely.
or Hakeem
Hmm.
that's gonna impact their soul and their
Yeah.
mind, they become well off in life, which
Absolutely.
is totally
Absolutely.
amazing. But you gave
Yeah.
us some good jewels right now. I hope people are really paying attention to what you're saying because a lot of people feel like, oh, I want to start our own business and I want to get financial gain. You say, no, you had to get a part-time job to invest in your business.
Absolutely.
I want you to go more in depth into that because, people, especially artists and then upcoming entrepreneurs, especially like myself and also
Hmm.
Hakeem, we want to know, like, where are you, like, that's one of your methods. What are other methods you may have for us so we can continue to grow in our business?
Yeah, I think like especially with something that you guys are doing now, ultimately you guys are doing the right thing. You're consistent, which you're consistently putting out content because I can tell that just from listening to your show that you guys love it. This is what you enjoy doing, and
yep.
that's that you found something that you like, so you would do it for free
Oh
if you
yeah.
weren't getting paid. Yeah, so that's it.
Right.
That's it in itself. You found something that you're passionate about, and I think ultimately everybody wants a get rich quick scheme. Oh, how could I we play the lotto. We, sometimes, invest in stuff, whatever will get us the money the quickest. But when
Primerica.
yeah, exactly.
You know what, Hakeem? You know what? I like that
hey,
one.
hey,
Copyright that one, bro.
every Haitian done did Primerica.
Yeah. But when it comes to something like building a business, you can't have that mentality because it just doesn't work that way. It's the hard work that pays off at the end. And for me, it was just always not even an option that I would stop. It was always like, okay, when we would get stuck. Now, I'm telling you guys the story because I think it's really important. I remember times where I would have to call FPNL and beg them to not cut off the lights. Like,
Wow.
listen, we're here with students. We cut it
Wow.
if we're in the
Wow.
middle of the day. Please do not
Please
cut off.
keep
Yeah.
talking. They need to hear
But
this. Keep
no,
talking.
but it was
You know
very
what I'm saying?
important.
Spin
Yeah.
jewels. I'm
I
not saying that because
remember. Yeah, no, I remember those times. Coming in and the water not being on, and then have to lie to the students and say, "Oh, we're having sewer problems. We'll fix it in a minute," knowing that really the bill just wasn't paid. But you know, I'm appreciative of those times because now when you don't have those problems anymore, it's you remember back and it's humbling. But and so that was all passion, and that was just all me, caring about my students, caring about my teachers, and I just really had to invest and keep going. And that's one thing that I tell anybody. Like the last year, I've worked with like 3 or 4 entrepreneurs who were starting up, and I mentored them and helped them start everything off. And the biggest thing that I always express to them is that stopping is just not an option. If you have to go in there and you have no power, you still need to get up and go to work. If you have to go in there and there's no customers, go to work. And you put your best foot forward, and like I said, I believe in God as well, and He'll do the rest. But it really will take it's almost like an act of faith. You keep going.
Wow,
that's a blessful to hear.
It is, and no, go on Hakeem, because we talk about this all the time. How
we do. We speak of
people. Talking about, if I'm not getting money, I want to quit.
I want to quit. Yeah, and success ain't overnight.
No, it's not.
And that's the thing that a lot of people don't understand. But I also want to go back to a lot of key things you've been saying. Passion, something that you're willing to do for free. These are the key words, people. Listen to what he's saying. And this is the fact of the matter is. And the fact of the matter is that you're doing something that is not like very cliche-ish. Now, you went to Jackson.
Yeah.
I went to Jackson. He went to Jackson. Now, mind you, I just want to point out something that our era going to Jackson is a lot different now, and compared to the type of teacher you are. But you don't want to start a business like this saying that you care about the demographics of kids that look like you. You know what I mean? And I'm just being real. There's no disrespect to any of our old teachers, but I felt in that era, I didn't felt that there was a need to help a lot of us. You get what I'm trying to say? So for hearing this coming from you, Ray, just only reflects to maybe whatever experience you had went through in school or seeing what was going on for you to exponentially go to this route. Because I love to hear that. No, I'm just being real. I just love to hear that, because my long-term goal, just to point out, is I wanted to start a financial literacy class for people in Liberty City. People in Liberty City.
Yeah, Ray. He been telling me
That's
that for the longest. He was like,
amazing.
Ronnie, keep studying, because we're gonna go out there. We're gonna help the youth, because it's not about
help
us.
the youth.
Because our youth is lost. They don't know where to go, especially when it comes to financial literacy.
Financial
they don't know where to do with their money and how to spend their money.
Basically,
absolutely right.
And I could say that, you know what I mean, and the reason why I did it, because I'm very big on Black economics. You know what I mean?
I've heard.
Oh, you see what I'm saying? So all that time, so education and economics all ties in together.
Absolutely.
So it's a beautiful thing that you helping people who are leaving school or just about to leave, to prepare them for that. You know, I just wanted to point that.
And I want to point out what you said about doing the class of financial literacy. I think that's extremely important, and that might be one of the most important things that you decide to do in your life. If you can create something like that, like, I will be excited to be a part of that, because I've learned really quickly, once I started making like real money, I learned really quickly things that, I wasn't taught. Like you said, we went to school, and not to put down school, because school is great. But I always thought that, once you start making big money, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, that your life would change. But I learned really quick, after starting to make, a large sum of money, that if I didn't have credit, that money wasn't worth anything. And I had to learn that the hard way, because I would go, to purchase a house or to buy a car, and I would say, well, I have the $10,000 already, I can put down cash. Or I went to purchase a house early on in my career, and I was like, I have $100,000 in the bank. The house is like 300,000 or whatever. And I'm like, here goes the money. And they would look at my credit, and I would get turned away. No matter how much money I had in my pocket, cash, they did not want it.
And
your
credit
on the represents rate. You. Yeah. Your credit represents who you are to an investor. So that's why I said financial literacy is so important, because I didn't realize that. So once I started making big money, I had to literally stop, go back, fix all the credit mistakes that I made first. And then I can go and sit in the office with Wells Fargo and with all of these different banks, and be able to, say, no, I want low interest, and I want this house, and I want that. But that was something I had to learn kind of the hard way. And so giving a class like what you just mentioned would be, is incomparable. Like, I think that's a necessity.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Ronnie.
No, because I won't tell him when it came to you mentioned the fact of credit. I won't tell him, because most of, especially our demographic, because most of black people, they feel like every time they go to a bank, the bank is turning them down. No, the reason the bank turning you down because you have no financial literacy, which means that you have
that's an
no credit.
aspect. Yeah,
It
and
don't have
that's
nothing to
true.
do with racism. It's
But
because
you
you don't
know,
have no credit.
I
Go ahead.
will tell you this to add to what you said. I do agree about the credit thing, but I would add that we are at somewhat of a disadvantage. And I'm not
100%.
a person that, I'm not a person that focuses too much on race, because when you have, I'm African American and I've defied odds of what I was supposed to be able to achieve in life, which is all I give God 100%, credit for that. And I thank the Lord for that. But I will say, when I go into a place, into an establishment, and I decide to make a purchase, I do have to understand that race sometimes plays a role in their perception of me and what I'm able to bring to the table. Now, what you said about credit is very important. If I go there and I have great credit and I meet all of the qualifications, they can't turn me around. But we don't also want to just be blindsided to the fact that they are looking at your color when you walk in.
Or
it's
oblivious.
Just the truth. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah, exactly. We have to acknowledge that fact, but that's even more of a reason to make sure all of our finances are on point. You get what I'm saying?
100%.
Yeah.
One thing I also want to point out too, my dad, it's going to kind of hard for me to say this in Creole, but my dad always told me race doesn't matter when you're a competitive person.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's the key thing that we're trying to teach people here. Not woe is me. Don't get me wrong. We're not oblivious to racism.
Exactly.
We're not oblivious to redlining. We're not oblivious to a lot of things. But some of those things start to diminish when you are competitive. And
well said.
You know what I mean? And that's the key point of this. Now, my next question I wanted to ask you, did you, from the beginning to up to the point now, what type of adversities that you, because you just mentioned a couple, and I think that there's a missing point that when a lot of these guys who get interviewed, and I'm talking about just all kinds of entrepreneurs, they sometimes things get mystified. A lot of people don't think that this stuff is really hard, and you gave us a couple points that where I said I wanted to hone in on this, because I try to speak this to my little nephew because he wants to start a business, and I told him it's work. I said, you're going to lose money, you're going to lose friends.
Absolutely.
So I want you to go into like some of the adversities that you had to go to overcome to get to where you at.
I think that's an incredible question. I actually I don't even know if we have a long enough podcast for me to talk about, but I would say some of the things. A lot of times, and I hope we get the opportunity to meet up so that I can show you like some of our, I can at least show you the location in Miami because we have our other school in Fort Myers. But sometimes I would bring people to our location and they walk through and they always everybody asks me the same question every time they come to our school, especially the one here in Miami, and they say, who are some of your investors? Who are some of your partners? And I always tell them, I don't have any. Or when they go when they go to our home, they'll say like, whoa, like who helped pay for this? Who financed it? And I always tell them, it was me and God. God gave me the knowledge and the ability, and I went forward with it. I don't have a human partner. But that if we want to talk about adversities, that would be, I would say, one of the biggest things, that it's very hard, especially think about this. I was 22 years old, African American, inner city, all of those things. And I no one wanted to invest into what I was doing or my vision or what, I saw things becoming. It was just more of the things that I had to really just have faith in. I had to really believe in my own self and invest in myself, because I didn't have a whole bunch of people saying, okay, I'll give you $100,000 to start off. Everything started from scratch. So if we want to talk about adversities, and it's so funny because I don't look at them that way, but it is something good to be able to mention to people that you really have to understand that other people may not get it, may not see the vision, may not want to pay for your dream. They may say that does not make sense, or it's no way that will work. And so it just took hard work. So if I think of it adversity, I would say that like I didn't have anybody financing me. It was all just, really by faith, and God just really opening doors for me and me just putting in the hard work. And that, I would say that would be one of the biggest things. And then, being young, sometimes I found myself in meetings with, usually I'm the youngest person there. I'm usually the only minority there. And there's times where I had to go and sit before councils and committees and, I would, be looked at as, too young or not educated enough. And, but throughout all of those things, like I said, it just was never a choice. It was like, okay, keep going. You have to keep going. Like, this is going to work. And I just thank God that he allowed me to start at such a young age, because I didn't have the apprehension that I have now. So when you're young, you're fearless. So I didn't care. I knew that we were going to be okay. Now I look back now and I say, oh, if I was this age, which I'm still relatively young, but I was like, if I was this age back then, I probably would have stopped and said, okay, no, let me just go and get a job. And, but I didn't.
That's phenomenal. Yeah. That's so phenomenal.
That's now, really it. Yeah.
Now, I have a 2-part question. Now, this is, now, what are the first thing is, what are the demographics of the type of students you have from here to Fort Myers? Because I think that's the thing I would love to know. And another thing is, by you starting a business, how many people you directly affected?
Wow, very interesting.
Interesting.
Okay, well, first off, I want to say our clientele or our student demographic is typically they have to have a developmental disability. So that means they're either autistic, intellectually disabled, cerebral palsy. It's a spectrum of like 7 different disabilities that we service. And well, in Miami, the demographic, the vast majority of our students are African American, obviously. But over in Fort Myers, which is another demographic of people, our student base is more Caucasian American.
Definitely.
For the most part. So we have those 2 different extremes here in Miami and Fort Myers, which is actually was amazing. And I remember when I first decided to open up in Fort Myers, people would say like, for you to come in there, because I'm such a minority in Fort Myers, because it's predominantly, a different culture over there. It was one of those things where I was kind of jumping out the window again and just saying, just believing by faith that I would be able to get my foot in the door when I decided to open up the location over there. But yeah, it's 2 different, very extremes. And it's very interesting. I just left there today, actually. So it's always good to see the 2 different dynamics. And I feel like our effect and our reach is limitless. Like, we serve so many families, we serve so many different types of people. And, I have about 35 employees. And so we're just, we touch a lot of people.
And that's the point that I want to get.
You help the family. Yeah.
No, definitely. Like, since that's a great point, because I wanted to get into the point where you said 2 great points, and this is the thing about economics. You know what I'm saying? And why I go into why some people who have it in them to be business people, because you first off, you're affecting kids' lives. Secondly, you're giving work to people who probably could not have found a job.
Absolutely.
And that's the whole thing about group economics and economics. So for you to tell me you have 35 people you hired, which, you know what I mean, maybe probably a majority of them are black. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, a mixture, but
a mixture of black, and I don't know, it's different in Fort Myers. But the fact of the matter is, you provide something to the economics of what area you come in. The point, go ahead.
Good point. And I was just going to say, an excellent point. I never even looked at it that way, but it's interesting that you said that. Yeah.
No, because I was reading a book called from the great Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Is a book called The Message to the Black Man. He said you want to be in a place in your life that you want to be able to build homes and build houses and build careers in your own community.
Wow.
When you're not in that place to do that, then there's something in you that's lacking, because you're supposed to have that already in you.
Wow.
You want to put yourself in a higher place. So for you to do that, and not only that, but just listening to you, that's why I'm not even speaking much, because I'm soaking in everything you're saying, because by you empowering me, I'm able to empower others. You know what I'm saying?
And I don't hesitate anytime I have the opportunity to share because I really do believe that this has been the gift that God has given me. And so anytime, all of the lessons that I've learned throughout the years, like before it would be those things like, I don't want people to think I'm bragging and I don't want people to think whatever, but it's not really bragging. It's my job now that I've reached a level of success, which we're still growing and still developing, but you know, from the place that we started to now, I feel like it becomes my responsibility to share that back to my community and back to the people that surround me. So when I have the opportunity to talk to you, Ronnie, about the stuff that you aspire to do, and then, you know, even now with this opportunity to speak with you, Hakeem, it's always like, it's a pleasure. Like, it's something that I want to do and that I need to do, because when one of us make it, it becomes our job to help everybody else as well. So I feel like it's my responsibility. Like, this is what I do outside of my actual job. People come to me and say, teach me how to start my business. What do I do? And I just share everything that I have. That's like everything to me. So, this is an honor. Yeah.
No, definitely. And the point that, another good point that you made, which I also stress here too, I say, when you start a business,
mm-hmm.
and you know what I mean, and this is you see, I don't want to pick on these people, and I'm not saying I'm picking on these people, but I think that it takes a special kind of person to understand. And you're not a typical person, to be real with you, Ray.
Okay.
Now you have a lot of businesses, especially a lot of Black businesses coming from inner cities who never transition out, because your goal not supposed to be stagnating in one place, because business is business, and and this is where we have to separate certain mentalities from thinking that, you know what I mean, because when you have a gift by God, or you're giving a purpose to do something, you're going to affect all communities, even the communities that might not like you.
Very good. That was a jewel. Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say?
Absolutely.
You see what I'm saying? Because let me tell you something. I make this podcast and for a reason to highlight people like you, but I also want to inspire the people who might not like me. Because you want to know something? I got free smoke for everybody.
Wow.
Facts.
You know what I mean? And this the thing is, and this is why we say we just have to elevate. And I love the fact that you said that you expanded to another area, because you've seen the demographics and you know you're going to go out there and help other people.
Yeah, and like you said, the people that may not like you, that's powerful. Like, we could hang up. This could be over now. That's what I need.
No, because you know us, you want people to like, it is true. Yeah. You want people to like you. Everybody may not like you.
No, for real.
Yeah. That was powerful. Like, and I, like I said, when I decided to move in that area, that was one of the biggest concerns, not necessarily for myself, but other people around me. Like, that town, like, they were, you know, when you get a level of success where you live in your area, but then you have to think a bigger purpose and bigger. So people thought the next best thing for me would be like, move up to Broward, you know, build one in Broward. And I was just like, no, you know, I see even better and bigger. And so I decided to go on that side of the coast. And like you said, people were like, okay, do you know that town may not accept you? You are from here and you look like this and that. But like you said, one thing people can respect, regardless if they don't like this color of your skin, they don't like where you're from, they respect hard work and they respect a quality service. So I knew if I get over there and I show them who I am and what we represent and what we can bring to the community, that it was inevitable that we would have to grow. And now we opened up our second school over there now. So we have 2 over there in Fort Myers.
Nice.
And that's why I say I wanted you to stress that, and I'm happy that you say that, because I don't want people to think that you're doing a business and you want to keep it solid. Yes, you can keep it solid, but you also got a fact of the matter is you still have to do business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there's a certain mentality you have to have. Like, I lived in Massachusetts. I had started a moving company, and it's the same exact situation. And I had a lot of people who were saying like, hey, you ain't going to be able to go over there because they're not going to do business with you. I said, how do you know that?
Wow.
I said, how do you know that? You've already pigeonholed me before I even started. Lo and behold, you know what I'm trying to say? Me being myself, me correcting my image, me correcting the way I talk, going over there, presenting, marketing myself. You know what I mean? I was able to obtain business in places most people would not even dare to walk into. Race does not matter when you're competitive. When you are competitive, and you are competitive, you can get what you want, and you can set a tone that people are going to understand, and where you can be the catalyst to change people's mentality.
Wow.
It doesn't. And the only way this is how you know when certain things are made for you, when you're able to impact others. The other
Wow.
thing people always say, how come Jeff Bezos is so filthy rich? The reason why is because he know people has a need for something. If you understand the need for something and able to capitalize that need, there you go. You'll be able to be well off. And in the sense of Ray's business, he know people have a need for disabled children to learn. Because they need to learn to be successful in this world, in this society, and also in this world. So for him to impact that type of community is just freaking amazing. It's just freaking awesome.
So Ray,
I don't know.
So what's next for your business? So what other plans you have going for now?
Oh my God. With this pandemic, it kind of threw everybody for a loop, I would say, but it's no stopping us. Like, we're still operating in the midst of everything that's going on. It has become a bit challenging to get our students to school. So what we just started was we just started our online program, and that's the good thing about stuff sometimes, because when things that appear to be bad happen, it almost forces you to become more creative. And, you get to a place where you have to figure out, because you need to survive. So I'm like, how can we still operate? Some of the students can't come because of everything that's going on. And so it kind of pushed me to kind of think further. And so one thing that we are now voyaging into is online school. And this is almost unheard of for students with disabilities. Now, it's one thing to send, the general population students to a computer to learn, because they have the ability to turn on the computer, to watch a screen. They'll know how to follow instructions. But now we're kind of stepping into uncharted territory, where we're going to have people with disabilities logging onto a computer to come to school. So that's really where we're headed, far as with the school part. And I mentioned earlier that we also do homes where they're allowed to live in. So we're in the process of opening up another home in Miami, where we'll house a group of our students as well. Because a lot of times with our population of students, and I know everybody might be able to relate to this, that sometimes the parents can't take care of them because of behavioral issues,
100%.
whatever it is. Yeah. So we're offering housing now. So we're able to move them in, teach them skills inside of the home environment, and then also just take care of them, take them to their doctor's appointments and all of those things. So we're moving in the area of more housing, but we're also doing online education as well. So I'm really forcing myself to just become more creative, because I have to figure out how I can get them on a computer and keep them there for 6 hours every day. So that's one of my challenges that I'm facing now. But next month, I plan to open up our online school. So that's really where we are now.
So you feel like this pandemic didn't really put you in a setback?
No. When this whole thing started, I made a promise to myself. And this is something that I think is important for people to hear as well. A lot of the major companies, we stepped into the pandemic, and the first thing that they did, the CEOs, they started laying off people. And why did they lay off people? Because one thing you'll learn about powerful and rich people, they never want to sacrifice their ability to remain rich. So a lot of times, out of survival, they started laying off people, because they want to make sure that I'm not going to lose my paycheck. So if I have to, lay off 100 people, I still need to get my $1 million every year. So, but I made a promise to myself when all of this started happening and we were forced to close down. I told myself that I was not going to get rid of any of my employees. I was like, regardless of the sacrifice that I have to make financially, I'm going to make sure that I keep them paid. So when our school closed down, I still paid all of our employees. Thank God I was, blessed with the ability to continue paying them. And so even in the midst of this pandemic, I didn't want to see any of my employees in a unemployment line or, trying to figure out how they were going to survive. And thank God I've been blessed with the ability to be able to do that. So even with this pandemic, I'm just always, coming up with new ways to make sure that we're sustained, that we're going to remain open, that all of our employees will, continue to work. And so far, so good. So I'm just walking in my blessings and in favor. And I know that we're just going to continue to grow even throughout this, very weird time in our history.
No, definitely.
Yeah.
And that's real good to know, because things are getting hectic. Now, as more you got successful, Ray,
Mm-hmm.
did you see any effects towards you from friends and family?
Oh, you get serious now.
Yeah.
I think one thing that I did do, that I was blessed with the ability to do, is the first thing when I first started, and with a school, you don't only have teachers, you have bus drivers, you have
Yep.
cafeteria workers, I started to hire my family. And in
Smart
some
thing.
cases it worked out, in some cases it didn't. It taught me a lot of lessons, but for me, it feels comfortable having people who you can really trust around you. So like I have, aunties who are managers in some of my inside of the homes. I have uncles who helps with the bus driving. So I'm surrounded by family in addition to all of the other people that we hire. So I really didn't have much of a problem when it came to family. And with friends, as much as I can incorporate my family and friends into what I did, I did. And one thing I would say is I remain humble and I remained the same person. So I didn't alienate people. A lot of times we say, when I became rich, everybody started acting different. But a lot of times we become different. And that affects those relationships with people. And for me, it was always about just remaining humble, remaining approachable, remaining, the same person I've always been. And then I've always tried to figure out how can I help them. If I had a friend that was struggling, if I could hire them or if I could offer them some type of advice. So for me, I didn't have a major issue with family and friends, but I know that could be an issue. But just personally, I didn't. I'm going to be in. Before I even started to become quote unquote successful, I had already started deciphering who was friends and who wasn't. So a lot of times we carry a lot of people that aren't really our friends. So when we do get somewhere, we have those issues. But by the time I actually got to a place where people would say quote unquote successful, I had already figured out who was my friends anyway. So in that situation, I didn't have a lot of problems.
But some people didn't pay attention to the key fact that you see how you took care of yourself first. Like
Yeah.
you able to take care of yourself, you was able to help others.
Help others along the way. Yeah.
That is the message that I think people have to understand. That because people feel like, oh, I don't have the money and this and that. No, take care of yourself first. Put yourself in an economic position where you be able to help your family,
help people,
help your
and
friends,
just
and help your
one
neighbors.
of the key terms that I always use is that, and I want everyone to just remember that money will come. I just hate when anytime I tune into something where we're talking about entrepreneurship or, like I said, outside of just this podcast, I'm saying with other people, you always hear people focus so much on money when money is just one of the benefits or something that comes as a result of hard work. But the key focus is purpose, drive. Those things are more important. The money, it will come. It will come. It's something that you don't even have to worry about or focus on. Know that it'll come. Focus on the purpose. Focus on what you're contributing to your community. Focus on those things, and all of the money will come along with that. I can almost guarantee it. That's something that you don't even have to worry about. You'll be able to help your mom. You'll be able to buy, the best cars. You'll be able to do all of those things if you find something that you're passionate about and do your best in that area. Money will come.
Definitely. Did you have to cut anybody off?
Ooh,
Because that's all with growth.
Yeah.
That's all with growth.
Yeah.
I'll be on the next episode. Go ahead.
There was some people that didn't make it to the promised land.
Woo, Jesus. Hallelujah. Hey, Marcus Garvey said it too. Not everybody can come with us.
Yeah,
no, he did. He did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But to come with you.
but in the same breath, I was probably a person who didn't make it to somebody else's promised land. You know what I'm saying? So it's not a thing of, auditioning to be able to be my friend so that you can get benefits. I think sometimes people grow differently and their promised land might look different than my promised land. So they go to theirs and I go to mine. So I would say it in that way. It wasn't really I wouldn't say eliminated them. I would say we grew differently and we had different places to go. So I went to my promised land, they went to theirs. I'll say that. Because it's such a touchy subject, because you don't want to give the impression of like, yeah, I cut this person off or I did this person. But I do agree with the fact that everybody won't go where you're going. I would say that.
No, 100%. Even in the journey I started with this, I ended up with Ronnie.
Wow.
I'm gonna be honest with you, because you know there was somebody else who was with me, but it doesn't all end like that. And I think that people have to learn to adapt to that, and not to be afraid to offend people. When like not everybody's gonna like you. You know what I mean? Even the people who love you. Sometimes the people who love you don't like you.
That's true. Very true.
That's
you know what I'm saying?
Very true.
And that's the point I wanted you to get across as well.
And I would also say that you have, just by listening to the show, that you have a very distinct personality. And I can see why some people wouldn't be able to really grab onto it and understand it. For me, I appreciate it from just watching it from the outside. I'm like, this is a very opinionated person. Who you would, some people, because they don't carry the same amount of confidence, will be intimidated by it. But I have an appreciation for it, because me telling you how great you are does not do anything to me. It doesn't take anything from
Lord
me.
Jesus, please say that again, bro.
But I really want.
We don't do for real. We don't do that enough.
It's true. Yeah. Absolutely. And it does not even bother me a little bit. I can watch your show, and which I always do, and I can tell people how great the show is and how I feel like this is $1 million project, and one day you guys will, if not already, make millions of dollars or whatever. I can see all of those things and not feel bad about it. And that, why? It's because I'm walking in my purpose, and I understand that my purpose will be different from yours. You don't take anything from me.
So where are you going in, baby?
You see, the thing is, I gotta say this because I gotta get in my bag, bro. Because you know what I mean. The way these folks messed us up made us so divided and so decisive. Where it's hard for me to look at you like you a brother with a school. I'm like, brother, I just got to tip my head off to you, and I'm proud of you.
And you guys are brothers with like I said, $1 million show. I can tip my hat off to you. It does not. We don't have to pull each other down. It's really not unnecessary.
Listen, Ray, preach. I see black men on the street. I compliment the way they look.
Exactly.
I compliment the shoes they got on, their haircut. I'm like, hey, brother, you looking sharp today. Where can I go get that?
Exactly.
How can I do that? Show me how to do that. But you know what I mean? Due to that hatred is so much fermenting in places like Liberty City and places like Attapata, where we come from. It's kind of hard to even sit here and have a conversation, especially a lot of us who grew up with very narcissistic mentalities, and that's a lot of things. You know what I mean? That's a lot of things that black people don't like to address. The narcissistic mentality, the antisocial behavior that we present to one another. I'm not even talking about those folks, because them folks, that's their business. You know what I mean? I love my people so much that we got to hold ourselves to a higher standard so we can be able to demand a little bit more.
Wow. And I think it also goes back to the fact of we have been programmed, and I don't know why or how or who did it, but I really try not to get into that too much. But I will say that we've been always taught that it could only be one. And so when that happens, it's like, I know it's kind of taboo, but everyone mentions the fact of the crab in the bucket mentality, that only one of us will be able to get out. So if I want to be the one to make the $1 million, I have to make sure that you don't make the $1 million. But it's okay. Yes. And I think we have to free our mind and expand our thinking to understand that we can walk side by side as millionaires. We can do it together. It does not, even with the sharing of information, how you said that you want to give a financial literacy class, which is very important. So you can breed the next generation of millionaires, and you can have a class of maybe 15 people, and all 15. This is something that's very important to understand, that all 15 can become millionaires. All 15, not just one out of the 15 or not just two out of the 15. We can work together to make sure everyone, and it's not millionaires per se, but just financially stable or whatever they're supposed to become. We all can do it. And so that's why I have, like I said, people come and ask me for information. I don't hide it. I don't say, oh no, I'm not giving them the secret. I'm like, listen, do this, do that, do that. And then they come back to me, and I have one of the businesses that I mentored this year, and she was a designer, and she was asking me I helped her open up and establish her corporation. I helped her with a lot of stuff, and so she came back to me afterwards, just being very grateful and thankful, and saying how, even during the pandemic, she was designing clothes. So then she had to adapt to what was going on. So then she started doing masks. And she was saying how the masks are flying off the shelf, how she sold out and how much money she's making. She came back in and thanked me. And I don't look at that and say, her business is doing great and she might end up making more money than me. I'm still pushing her. I'm saying, remember to make sure you apply for your financial stuff. Remember you get your grants and all of those things. I want to see her grow. And we should have that mentality for each other.
No, it starts with it starts with self-awareness and having, like you said, having that mentality.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have self-awareness, if you don't love yourself, you're not able to love others.
And I was going to tell you that, Hakeem, like, if a person who does not like themselves cannot be friends with you. 100%. I already know.
You could preach that.
They wouldn't be. And I say that about myself as well all the time. We've had issues where I've met people, whether I've been introduced to through other friends and we get into the same environment and they just automatically don't like me. And I've said that. I said, if they're not confident and happy within themselves, they'll look at me or look at something that I have and they won't like me because they haven't found their own purpose. Yeah. And I can see that with you as well. I can see that unless you're sure about yourself and a confident person, they wouldn't even be able to stand next to you.
No, definitely. If God wanted you to have, you would have had it, bro.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I tell my nephew that all the time, bro. Stop looking at other folks' stuff. Yo, be happy with the stuff you got.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You're at the level is where you want to be or is where God allowed you to be.
Exactly.
If you want to do more, you got to put in the work. You got to focus on your purpose.
And get more. Mm-hmm.
And don't let pride and stubbornness, stunt your success or growth.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? I'm never insecure when I'm around people.
Mm-hmm.
No, I knew Hakeem for years. We be talking and Hakeem be like, man, Ronnie, we doing this, we doing that, we doing that. It's all about building.
That's what's going to take you far. That's going to take you guys far. Having that confidence and understanding that there's no greater and no less. No one's greater. No one is above and no one is below. Everybody is the same. I don't care if you have $1 million in your pocket and this person have $1,000 in their pocket. We are all people and we're all the same. 100%. We're all on our own journey.
Now, let me get to a question because, and Ronnie gonna listen to this because I got to put this out there because we talking about something serious and you know what I mean. Now, when you started this, and I know that you probably tried to get some people to come in on that with you, yeah.
Well, to be honest, I would say this: I never wanted a partner. At the beginning, I was looking for someone to help finance.
Finance,
I'll say that, yeah.
Because the point I'm trying to get was what I wanted to ask. Because this is something that me and Ronnie I was dealing with for a long time with several businesses I was trying to do. Because one thing I know that there's certain things you can't do by yourself. You need help. Now, the point I wanted to ask you, how hard you think it was to get people to follow along with your dream?
What I did, and I'll tell you this, like I said, I would go and apply for financing. Like if it was a bank, I need a loan or whatever. I didn't get approved for anything. Like I said, I learned very early on that if you don't have decent credit, they're not giving you anything. So I never, I don't, and it's a good thing too because I don't owe anybody money. I don't have anybody that I'm saying I'm paying back because I this loan or that loan. Everything I have, I own it solely, so I don't have to pay anybody anything. To convince, what I did when I initially started up, I used the people who were in my immediate circle, the people that were closest to me. And because they knew my intentions and they knew who I was as a person, it wasn't really hard to convince them.
Okay.
The convincing mostly was with people who didn't know me.
Okay.
Like I said, when I would walk into a bank or when I would walk in front of a committee and you're trying to convince them that, look, this is the new wave. This is where education should be. And this is that was very difficult. But what I've learned, another thing is that I stopped trying to sell myself and I understand that hard work speaks for itself. So when I walk into a situation, I just give the product of what I've done. And that speaks for itself. This is what I've achieved or this is what we've achieved because of our hard work. And so that's even better than speaking, trying to convince somebody of something. So when I moved over into Fort Myers, I told them, well, the program in Miami has expanded and we're doing X, Y, and Z. And when they would see what we've done in Miami, they were more willing to accept us. So I really didn't have to sell the fact that, believe in what I'm going to do or trust me. They would see the results of the hard work. And I think that's what's important.
I think the good thing that you just said that so you must have grew up with a good, strong support system. Because that's
yeah. I've had a strong grandmother, a strong Black woman, who raised me.
Strong. Yeah, very nice.
And I
I met
think
her. She was awesome.
that was a part of the foundation of who I became as a person. And a little bit about my grandma, because I really do like talking about my grandma because it's very humble beginning. She was a housekeeper at
Go right
Jackson
ahead.
Hospital.
My mother's a housekeeper.
Okay, well, we have something in
common.
common.
Yeah, go right ahead. Yeah.
She was a housekeeper at Jackson Hospital, and she taught me very early on the importance of hard work. And I would say, and it's so funny because education can't give you that. That was just me watching her come home at 11 o'clock at night, catching a bus from the hospital because she was a housekeeper at the hospital, catching a bus every night, never missed work, walked under a bridge, a lady, 11 o'clock every night because that was the time she would get off. And just by watching that, she never really had to tell me about working hard. I would watch her. And just by seeing her dedication to work, never missing work, getting on the bus because she didn't have a car, that was the foundational stuff that really molded me into the person that I am. And I understand what it is. You have to work hard, and that is not going to be easy. And that carried me through life. That is not supposed to be easy at times. You just keep going until something happens. And that, so watching her to me was like the biggest educational lesson. Like school couldn't teach me that. And I'm talking about for much of nothing. Like she wasn't a millionaire. She worked hard. She bought a house. She took care of her kids, single mom. That in itself, I just thank God for the opportunity to see that, to watch that. And it helped me. Yeah, it really did. Like
I hope these goofies are listening.
Yeah.
No, how can you know these goofies? They're listening.
No, because you just said some real stuff, bro.
Yeah. He do. He did some real. He said some real powerful stuff.
Listen, bro.
Like, oh, he don't know what he's talking about. You already know how they are.
Listen, bro. I come from the same situation you come from.
Wow.
Mother didn't have a car. My mother was a housekeeper.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And bought a house at $9 an hour.
Mm-hmm. Look at that.
Listen, $9 an hour. My mother never made more than $9 an hour.
That's amazing. I'm sure my grandma was in that same range.
You see what I'm trying to say? And mind you, I worked at Jackson before, and I'm gonna tell you something. In housekeeping too, that's hard work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's hard. Listen, hard and dangerous work.
Wow.
Because I worked there.
Wow.
And I'm gonna be honest with you. It was so hard I quit.
Oh wow! Look at that.
So for you to tell me your no, I'm just keeping it real. I'm gonna keep it real.
No, I think it's good.
For you to tell me your grandmother was there that long,
retired
there, you have to be built a certain kind of way.
Yeah.
To do that kind of work, because let me tell you, you're dealing with blood, you're dealing with AIDS.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Stuff like that. You got to clean this type of stuff. You got to clean up. I'm talking about degrading work.
Yeah.
Degrading work.
Preach, King.
But And this is something too, man, that we highlight too. This is
I know it's hard. I can't go in.
It frustrates me because a lot of women think we hate girls on here.
Let me just jump in that right quick because I do watch the show. What I would say, I don't think you hate girls. I don't think that. But I will say, from my observation of watching the show, I love the show. I'm telling you, I think I've watched every single episode full through. I would say that a lot of times when you guys talk on women, I feel like you guys need a woman in the room.
We do.
Because,
we do.
And sometimes you do, but sometimes I think that it needs the woman perspective, especially when you speak on gender roles, because I've heard that a few times in some of the episodes about what women should be doing and women should be X, Y, and Z. I think that women deserve the opportunity to speak up for what they feel like they should be doing.
But the situation in Ray, not to I'll let you finish your point. The problem is that most of the time we invite women on the show, they are afraid to come on the show because I think they hear what men are talking about. So they're like, no, because these men talking a different level of game.
We talking, Ray.
Yeah.
We had a segment where we wanted to highlight Black women entrepreneurs. We had a special segment because let me tell you something. What you just said is more powerful, and I got to say things too about this too. In third world countries, the glue that keeps tribes and families together are the women. They go out, they sell the market, and they bring money home. Not all these countries have work for men. People don't understand that. Like places in Haiti, there's not a lot of construction work. So it's mainly the women who sell food, sell clothes.
Hold up, they hold up the household.
They hold up the household, and typically their husbands don't work. If he works in the fields, she mainly is the breadwinner. So we knowing that, and this is where there's a couple episodes where I say that I acknowledge a woman makes more money than us. I acknowledge that, but the thing about it is, in an American system, for some reason, they make black men and black women very divided. And I try to explain to women, America makes more money when they keep us apart.
Yes.
Because let me tell you something. We could have 2 family income households. We could have all of this if we're not so divided and so decisive. But to get to the point, like, you see how easy it was for you to come on this podcast, which I appreciate so much. And this has been a beautiful conversation with you. We've hit 20 women before you, and they have yet to come on the podcast.
Well, I'm happy. I know a strong, very independent, beautiful, strong entrepreneur female who I know would come here. And you guys don't even have to talk about entrepreneurship. I want her, and even if me and her together, if she feels more comfortable, to come as a guest when you guys are talking on one of your other
topics. Do it.
Because she will give you guys a run for your money, because she's extremely well-versed and extremely articulate and very strong. And I think that some of those episodes, when you do touch on those subjects, will benefit from a woman like that, who can give the female perspective. They're not afraid, and they won't back down to what you guys believe the role
I will gladly welcome her here.
Yes. And trust me, she's ready. I will. After we have this conversation today, I will let her know.
Let her. We welcome all. We welcome all queens.
Yeah,
all queens.
We welcome all queens.
We honor the woman. We don't.
100%.
Understand. But we honor the woman.
I do think that you guys do, but I can understand why a female listens to it, because in addition, like I told you guys, I love the show, but I've also sent the show to my female, friends and sisters and stuff, and a lot of times their feedback of it is that it feels almost like a boys' club, like that. No, I'm just giving you what it is, because they feel like
the boys are back in town.
Yeah, because that's expected, because it's only men. So of course, I'm talking from the male perspective, but they're saying like, no, I don't agree with that, and we should have a voice, and this is how we feel about certain things. And so a lot of times when you don't have a female, like you said, you probably invite them, and maybe they're intimidated to jump into that type of arena. But I know some strong black women. I'm surrounded by them who will come and give you guys a run for your money.
Hey, and we ready. We ready for them. We ready for them. The gauntlet is always here.
Yeah.
The gauntlet is always here. The Terror Dome is here and welcome.
And she don't want to talk about no entrepreneurship. She will talk about whatever you need her to talk about. Like,
and that's what we need, because most women, they feel a certain way towards men, but they're afraid to say something. So this is the type of platform we're trying to create.
Yeah.
So women can speak their mind, speak whatever there is within them, so that we can learn, because we're trying to learn.
And then, but also for you guys to give your perspective too, because I think that type of exchange and that type of healthy debate is where you see growth.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. But you also got to make a correlation with what me and Ron are talking about too on certain podcasts. It doesn't seem very, like, when we talk, it's not misogynistic. Because let me tell you something.
No.
There's on several occasions I said that a man's supposed to pay 90% of the bills. I've said that plenty of times. I advocate for marriage.
But do you understand? I know we're jumping off subject, but I'm happy we are, because this is a part of life as well. But do you understand even that concept of men are supposed to pay 90% of the bill? That in itself is misogynist.
Okay. I can see where I can see where you're coming from. And I guess it's all coming from. You want to say, we'll put it like this: whatever people have their own idea, whatever people idea of what a matriarch family looks like.
Yeah. But remember, families are so different and diverse now. The same thing that we talked back about even education, how now we realize that one form of education can't work for everybody else. So a lot of times, I can sit and I have this conversation with you, and I see that you're like, I can say you're one of the most intelligent people I've met.
I appreciate that.
Out of talking. I can tell that you're extremely smart. And very articulate. All of the things, and Roni as well, but I know Roni already, but just me and you having this conversation, I can tell that you're extremely smart. So But so education does not work the same for everybody else. So somebody as intelligent as you will get pigeonholed into a certain category and say, well, you're special education, you won't be able to do X, Y, and Z. Yep. So apply that same thing to family. Families are so different, and one makeup will not work for everybody else. So you might have the woman that would want you to pay 90% of the bill, but you might also have the other type of woman that may say, no, I want to pay 90% of the bill. Maybe you should stay home and cook and let me take care of the house because I have achieved this amount of success and I can be able to take care of the family. Like you just said, some of the women in different countries and that concept. So I feel like gender roles, and like I said, I'm not even going to talk for a female perspective. Like I said, I feel like we need to have a female
on. We're going to do that
and let them do it. But I would say that from my feedback of giving your episodes out and letting, even listening in the car with females in the car with me or whatever, they've always said like, no, like they feel like, not that you guys are being misogynistic, but more of, we should have a voice in that conversation. Oh yeah. I would say that. Yeah.
We had really good. Luckily we had, did you listen to the last episode on what does it mean to submit to a man?
No, I haven't heard that one yet.
You see, listen to that one because
I will.
We had a girl on there who we had a girl on there who makes 100,000, and mind you, it took me pulling teeth to get her on there.
Yeah, he did because I heard it was me and him started off, but she wanted to join the show because
awesome.
You are right. You are right, Ray, and I want to acknowledge that you're 100% right. Even my lady friend who I talked to, she also says the same sentiment. She said a lot of women would be intimidated to come because they're going to feel like we're not, you know what I mean? And I say, hey, we welcome it because we want this type of dialogue. We want to come to a common ground to what can we do? What can we do to fix this broken leak that we got going on?
And it'll start with you guys. It really will start with you guys. I honestly believe in the vision of what the show is. Like, and I know that it's going to reach a wide array of people. And I feel like just having those type of conversations, you're setting the platform. You're setting the groundwork for what type of change you guys are going to make in the community. So I would just ask that when you guys do get that female, because I have one in mind, that you don't hold punches. Like everything that you said in those other podcasts, that you bring that same energy because she's ready.
I will bring that same energy for facts and statistics. Mind you, we can bring a spreadsheet.
Okay.
I'm not even bringing a time clock for this.
Hey, listen. I got a spreadsheet, bro. But I got a spreadsheet. Blackdemographics.com.
Yeah, you talking about two strong men.
Yeah,
don't hold no punches.
Oh, trust me. Oh, I don't want to talk too much. I'm gonna let her show you guys that it's a very strong woman.
Okay, we definitely.
I think that would be a very good episode to hear. I mean, I'm just imagining the conversation, but I want you guys to really bring. I think it's just good because you guys are, like I told you, especially you, Hakeem, like you're you are very strong-willed in what you believe and what you know to be true, and that's basically good.
Yeah, and mind you, that's my version.
Energy. Yeah,
and that's what I think of what family life is. Because let me tell you something. I grew up in the city just like you, and I seen what broken families can do. Listen, I was blessed to have a mother and father at home. Me and Ronnie come from the same situation. My parents are still together. Not saying that it's all perfect. My daddy is in a wheelchair. My mother's still stuck by him. My daddy didn't have no outside kids, and he paid majority of the money. My mama don't even know what it just so happened now she started to know what the mortgage looked like.
Wow. And I think we all can relate in that way because we could together as well.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
No, I was just saying I could relate to you guys in that way too. Like I said, I grew up a lot with my grandma, but my mom and dad are still together. My dad paid all the bills.
You see what I'm saying? Now,
so we can relate in that way. Yeah.
So this is what I'm trying to say. I'm advocating, and another thing that I want to do is to bring family. I want to bring the ideology of family back together. You see, everybody can have and I'm not hating on everybody's family.
Yeah.
But I had homeboys from the Poke and Beans. I had homeboys from Overtown. I had homeboys from Modella. I had homeboys from Richmond Heights. One common theme, mind you, I was in the streets as well, which I had no business doing there because I was technically what you might call a rich kid.
Wow.
Compared to them, my parents bought me a car.
Comparatively, yeah.
Compared to them, my parents bought me a car. I've always had sneakers, always had clothes, but they never had no fathers there.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So when you start to put peace and coalition, and that's me going to different states, noticing the same coalition, and then you start to realize, okay, there's a problem here. What can we do on both ends to fix things? You know what I mean? In the thing that I come at the point is men get blamed for 80% of the problems.
I agree.
And women, and mind you, you can't even have a dialogue with a woman without getting shot down, saying that, hey, toxic masculinity, misogynistic.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Where we had to address where certain things start to shift as far as that. When the man started to be removed from a home, where we start to not having a voice anymore, to not taking care of our kids. I've advocated for marriage. I've advocated for 2-parent households. You know what I mean? And mind you, I talk a lot of shit because I live by it. I don't have outside kids. I don't have no kids at all.
Wow.
I want to get married. I want to have my kids in the household. So when I speak like this, I practice what I preach. I raise men here. My nephews don't got no. My nephews don't got no kids. My niece ain't pregnant.
Wow.
She's 21. She hasn't had a baby, and I taught her, hey, fix your boyfriend plate.
Fact. Because when you cater to the man, he's going to cater to you.
He's going to cater to you, and mind you.
Okay. In a lot of cases, I agree. But then I think you also, not meaning to cut you off, but I think you also have to hear the female experience as well with the man that they're catering to.
No problem.
It's one way, because remember what you're preaching right now, which I think is admirable. Not everybody carry those same morals and values. So a woman might have the same experience of catering to a man, doing all of those things, but still not getting the result that you're promising and what you plan to do. Everybody have a different experience in that way.
Okay.
So you get what I'm saying?
I do get what you're saying.
Yeah.
And you want to say, you see, this gonna go on forever because I got a rebuttal for that. But we gonna have we gonna set up that the Terradome. We're gonna set up the Terradome. So we're gonna get. We're gonna get. Now, I want to get with the last questions.
Okay.
And, my last question is, what recommendation or advice would you give to any up and coming entrepreneurs for any type of business or maybe something that they are, or what you're doing, or with anything? What advice would you give to somebody?
Advice, like similar to what I was saying before. If you want money, get a job. Get a job. If that's your goal, find a job. Because people who have jobs, you work a job to make money. But if you want a career, if you want a vision, if you want something greater than you, then take money out the equation and really focus on what it is that you're passionate about. Like I said, do something that you would not mind not making $1 at doing. Whatever it is, you have to find out what it is that I like. What do I feel passionate about? What do I want to offer the world? That's always my thing. Because more than anything else, when I think about what I do, I know that I'm offering people something. I know that there's something that people there's something that someone is depending on me to provide for them. And that's fulfilling. That I look in the eyes of my students and I know that they need this program. I know that they need this house. They need these things, and I'm able to give it to them. And to me, the money is secondary. And it's, great money, and I live a great life, which I'm so appreciative about, but it's secondary. Now, I know that we work, and we do work because we do need money, but like I was saying earlier, that will come. But let your main goal be passion. That's the advice that I would give any entrepreneur. Like, don't open up a business to make money. If you're looking to make money, get a job. You get a job to make money. That would be your goal. Open up something that you really want to do, something that you've always been interested in. Find out what your passion is, and from there, everything else will fall into place.
My last question for you, Ray, is, man, you gave out so much good information. I really appreciate your time, your insight of everything. Like, I didn't really ask too much questions because I feel like I wanted to learn from you, and I know a lot of people that's gonna listen in are gonna also learn from you as well. But how can people support you? Where can they find you at? Contacts, phone numbers, Instagram, Facebook.
That's a real good
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, we are. The name of the company is the Lighthouse Group Beacon of Hope. I know it's a long name.
Lord, you
The
know it's a perfect name, brother.
yeah, the Lighthouse Group
Follow the light.
Beacon of Hope. Yeah, Beacon of Hope. We're on Facebook. You know, when I first started out, I did open up like a regular web page, and I found out really soon that people don't really log on to web pages. Like we would get like, you know, 1 or 2 hits every month. And I just felt like it was a waste of resources. So something that was free that can give the same type of promotion where everybody's located is Facebook. I was like, you know, everybody's on Facebook. Let's open up a company Facebook. We don't have to really a business page. We had to pay something, but it was like $20 or something. It wasn't anything major. And we get a lot of traffic there because everybody's on Facebook. And so when you open up a company page, I think they advertise it. Some, you know, down people timeline, you'll see like sponsored things. And so we advertise on there. And so most of our things that we're promoting, they come on our Facebook page. And I'm there, some, you know, videos and pictures of our students, our school, the house, all of the things are listed there. And so if you're looking for us, it's the Lighthouse Group Beacon of Hope. And we have our Fort Myers and Miami location on the same page. So that's really where they can find us. And like I said, it's something that it's a community service. I look at it as a ministry. And you know, we are just planning to continue to grow, continue to provide services.
Man, me and Hakeem Ray really appreciate your time for being on the show. And not only that, we want to get a shout out to all the people, all the listeners from across the seas, overseas, you know, London, Lebanon, you know, Dubai, Washington, D.C., New York, everywhere. There's a lot of people listening. Go ahead, Hakeem.
Man, I feel so greedy right now. I just got to ask you one more question, man.
Okay, I'm here.
This has been a very beautiful conversation.
Yeah,
this is the last question I want to ask you because you're very well spoken. You have a very, you know what I mean. I'm surprised the twins ain't never let me come to y'all church.
Yeah, I don't know. That was a while back, so I don't know how that happened. Yeah.
My last question, and we really gonna wrap up, is
what
would what you know now? What would you tell your younger self starting all over? I had to put that out there.
Good.
I had to get that out the bag.
I like that question. I don't even think I've been asked that before, and that's something that makes me want to sit back and think about it. But I would say if I had to tell, I know what I would tell my younger self because, like I said, at that age, like I told you, the experiences that I've had with like just not having enough money and, you know, really struggling at the beginning, I would tell myself to enjoy the process and that it'll all be okay. Because looking back, I could look at a lot of times that I wasn't living in the moment. Sometimes when you're in that survival mode, you're not really enjoying the process. You're always worried and thinking about how I'm going to make it till tomorrow, not understanding that that's not your responsibility. I honestly believe that God takes care of that you'll be okay. So if I would tell myself to relax, enjoy the process, enjoy myself, enjoy my life, which I did enjoy my life and I enjoyed, but I would say relax more and understand that you're okay. You're taken care of. Someone's taking care of you. A bigger power, a higher power is taking care of you. Just continue to go, but enjoy the process. Don't be as nervous and scared because I dealt with a lot of that early on of just worrying too much. And and later on, another good thing is later on, you are going to be so blessed and so well fulfilled, even financially, that it'll all pay off. Because I think I never thought, and you know, I don't like to talk too much about finances, but I couldn't imagine like how much better things will get. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but I think that's important to know. And I think even for young people that are just starting out in their business, that it gets great. Like it's going to get to a time where you're not going to have to worry about anything financial. Like the money will be there and you will be able to live and buy whatever you want and go wherever you want to go. And that is important to know. Like I said, you don't want money to be your sole objective, but understand that is a part of the benefits of working hard. And when you get there, it's good. Yeah, you'll enjoy yourself, and that's a good thing.
Man, Ray, we can have you on for like 2 hours
Oh
more,
my
man.
God,
Like,
yeah.
people
We
be
done
like,
already
man,
ran up the
they be
clock, boy.
we already ran out the clock.
But I
But, you
do
know,
think that's important. I want the younger people, especially the people that are just starting out, and I know you guys do a lot of entrepreneur shows.
Yes, we
And
do.
so
Yes,
that's
we
one
do.
thing I want to tell people, that if you focus on the right things early on, those benefits will come later on. You will live a great life. Everything that you want will come to once you keep going. Because if you stop, it's not going to happen, obviously. You keep going, you'll eventually get to that place where things will be great. So right now, you might be begging the FP&L person to keep the light on, but just know later, all of those bills will be paid and you'll be on a yacht somewhere. So just keep going. That's really, I think
Keep
that's
going.
important to stay.
Focus on
Keep
your
going.
purpose. Make a dent in the universe.
Yeah,
Keep
absolutely.
going. Yeah. And that's what we in.
We're going to
This
end
was
it
so
right there,
great.
boy.
Thank you, guys.
And this is,
Yeah.
thank you. This is Chaos Culture Radio, and we
And we
out.
out.
Man, I just appreciate y'all just listening. Stay tuned for the next episode.